Hey folks, Brendan Dickerson here for birdsfan.com with the Eagles at Falcons game review. Man, what a great effort by this team in general. I mean, really, this, along with the Panthers and Giants games so far, these three games are the only games we can point to where the entire team came to play for 4 quarters. The Eagles won 34-7, as I'm sure you guys all know, and they didn't even yield a point until 2 seconds remained in the entire game, and I personally cannot fault the defense for yielding a point in garbage time when you're not playing for anything. On offense, the Eagles, and huge credit to Reed, established a running game. And not just a running game, a nice blue-collar, grinded-out, beat-you-in-the-mouth running game with fullback Leonard Weaver essentially being the feature back. He ran for, I have it written down here, 37 yards, received for 63, and caught a touchdown. The stats in themselves are not overly impressive, but when you see the way that he essentially just managed the game clock, and this is Reed, managed the game clock with his running game, didn't rely on the huge deep threat a lot. The Eagles are not quick strikers in this game per se. They ground out the clock, and they did not allow Chris Redman and the Falcons to have all this game clock to work with, and that was huge in this game, facing essentially backups. You had to make them rush. Great job by the offense grinding out the clock. LaShawn McCoy didn't really do much in the rushing game. He only ran for 2 yards on 6 carries. It's actually pretty darn bad. His longest was a 4-yard rush, so you realize he then lost 2 yards on those other 5 carries, essentially. He caught 3 passes for 24 yards. He caught the ball very well out of the backfield. It was very encouraging to see how much he's coming along since the preseason game. You might remember that game against the Jaguars in the preseason where he essentially dropped what should have been a sure first down in the screen, and the Jaguars picked it up and ran it back for a 98-yard touchdown. It's been really encouraging, though, to see McCoy how much he's grown. He's getting better as a blocker. He's not quite there yet. You know, that's one of the things that makes Brian Westbrook indispensable when he's healthy. He's a fantastic blocker, and I think McCoy will get there. McCoy's a physical guy. He's willing to get in your face. He's a rookie. No rookie running back can ever learn how to block right away. In the passing game, the Eagles did admirably despite the fact that Deshaun Jackson did not play because of a concussion. Reggie Brown had a drop on the first possession, ended up killing a drive. It was a surefire first down, and of course all of us were going, "Oh, Reggie, what are you doing?" You know, that's what Reggie does. We should be used to it. He had 2 other catches. He had a beautiful catch along the sidelines from Donovan McNabb. And I don't understand how Reggie can come up with these outrageous catches but drops the simplest thing. It's kind of like Braylon Edwards, only minus all the playmaking ability. And then he had a gorgeous catch on the deep ball by Mike Vick, which I'll get to later. Past that, Avant, serviceable. You know, he did his thing. Third down receiver, really did his thing. Brent Selleck, you can tell that thumb sprain is still affecting him. He dropped a short touchdown from Donovan in the first possession. He later caught one from Mike Vick, but it wasn't a particularly difficult catch. You can tell that it's still bothering him, and it's also affecting him in his blocking. He's not able to get his hands up on the guy as much as you'd like him to. I believe it's his right hand that's having the issues. Hopefully he gets healthier this week. It's going to be crucial against this Giants team. The tight end is such an important weapon in these divisional games. They help dictate, as along with the running game, how long you keep the ball, and we just need him to play well this week. Jeremy Maclin, very good game, 82 yards receiving. He's really becoming a very consistent wide receiver. Deshaun Jackson, last year as a rookie, was impressive, but he would come and go. You know, there will be games where he would completely disappear. There will be games where he erupted. This year, obviously, Jackson having a fantastic season. Maclin, as a rookie, is having a superb season in comparison to Deshaun Jackson. Already has more touchdowns, has almost as many yards, proving that he can catch over the middle, he can catch along the sidelines, he can catch down the field, he can catch in the end zone. The misconception that he was not a physical wide receiver was pure baloney. You know, a lot of people, especially anyone watching this is on the Philadelphia Eagles message boards, thinks that Jeremy Maclin was a soft wide receiver because during one preseason game he got essentially what was a dead leg in his right thigh, and he was kind of limping around the rest of the game. Well, I want to know if any of you guys have ever played football, have tried playing with a dead leg. I mean, just trying walking with a dead leg, and then try running, getting hit by these really big guys. It's not happening, especially in a meaningless game like a preseason game. Anyway, that aside. Maclin, very good game as well. I mean, quite frankly, the receiving corps did a very admirable job in the wake of Deshaun Jackson's absence. Wide receiver Jordan Norwood, who was activated off the practice squad, was released just a few hours ago. Didn't have any catches. He's released, so Jose Johansson can come back on the team. And what else? Vic. Big story, obviously. How can you forget Mike Vick? Fantastic. 2 for 2 passing, 48 yards, touchdown, four rushes for 17 yards and a touchdown. He played great in the time that he had to play. Unfortunately, his time was cut short because of a hand injury on his right thumb also. Seems to be a thing with the Eagles, right thumb injuries. Fantastic. But he played great football. And I think maybe if the game isn't quite on ice as much... Well, if the game wasn't quite on ice, they wouldn't have brought Vick in the first place. But either way, great job by Reed. First off, building his confidence. To go against his former team and his former home field and play football like that, that was just outstanding. I mean, the Atlanta fans were chanting, "We want Vic. We want Vic" at one point. It was really cool to see. And it's very encouraging as well. For one, builds up possibly some trade value in the offseason if we can continue to get games out of him like this. And it just adds another dimension. Now he's shown, hey, I can still throw it deep. I can still throw it. I can still run. Teams are going to have to account for this now. Maybe the Wildcats going to start to come to life a little bit. I don't know. Defense. Fantastic game. And the defense did exactly what I said they needed to do. They limited tight end Tony Gonzalez to 72 yards, obviously under 100, and they kept him out of the end zone. That was key. Like I said, a tight end commands how long you have the ball. That's the beauty of the tight end position. It's kind of like a running back in the passing game. They kept him as essentially a non-factor. For the Eagles to only give up 72 yards to a future Hall of Famer tight end is really fantastic news. Quite frankly, that might be one of the best games we've had against a tight end this season. The fact they didn't score a touchdown is even more impressive. I mean, really, the defense in general just deserves huge kudos. They only sacked the quarterback for the Falcons, Chris Redmond, twice, but that's all right because they were in his face the entire time. He never got into a rhythm. His passes were off all over the place. And he didn't complete a pass until 2 seconds left for a touchdown. And it was like a weird deflection. So, whatever. The 7 points don't matter. Special teams also. Great game. On the Falcons' second kick return, Jaquay Parker forced a fumble and it was recovered by Tracy White. That led to the Leonard Weaver receiving touchdown. Overall, fantastic job by the Eagles. Now, something interesting to note, and something that definitely merits watching, is Jason Peters went down with what Reed has explained as a head and shoulder injury. Now, I don't know if that means Troy Polamalu, gave him too much of head and shoulder shampoo or something like that, but essentially Reed has said it's everything but a concussion, so it certainly merits watching, especially with how many concussions our team has had to deal with lately. However, in his absence, Todd Herremans, as he always has when he's had to play the left tackle position, played very well. I guarantee you, if he's on another roster right now, with the exception of one of these teams that has like a stud left tackle like the Dolphins, guarantee you he is their starting left tackle. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great few days. I'll be back in a few days with a preview of the Eagles at Giants NFC East matchup. Thanks, guys, and have a good one.